Welcome, everybody, to Krystal, Kyle, and Friends. Today, we're going to be talking to Jason Nichols. Jason it's interesting because in some ways, he's like a kindred spirit with you because, you do the show with Sagar and the whole original idea of the show is here's a guy we don't really agree or see eye to eye on a lot of things, but we do a show together and we flesh out the issues. I believe he did a similar show, might still do, with the Daily Caller.
Right.
And then I saw him on Newsmax the other day, which of course is definitely the lion's den for a lefty. And there was the panel erupted over Jordan Neely's killing. And I think he did a phenomenal job basically jousting with three people who disagreed with him at the same time, including Carrie Lake.
Yeah.
Which is no easy feat.
I've also, when I was first starting off in media, I did a lot of Fox News. So I'm very familiar with the dynamic. And it's not just that, you have an ideological opponent there, but also when you're in on like enemy terrain like that, there are all sorts of ways that the host can cut you off, can go to commercial, can change the topics on you that make the landscape even more difficult than just having, a direct exchange. So he acquits himself very well. I'm interested to hear, his philosophy of why he wants to go into these spaces, what he hopes to accomplish, and how he approaches it.
Yeah, I mean, the typical idea of the lefty that gets on right-wing media, it's like Alan Colmes.
Right, they're there to be like a punching bag.
I'd like to please maybe disagree, but ever so slightly. Don't hit me, please.
Yeah.
It's like that, but no, this is not that. He's not that. So anyway, so before we get to that, though, there's a bunch of stuff that we wanted to share with you guys. By the way, this is the first time we're doing together.
We should talk about we're married now.
We got married. But bad news, we're divorced too. No, I'm kidding. We ended it after a week. No, I'm kidding. So yeah, that was crazy. It was quite an experience.
It was. It feels very surreal. Like there was like a different state of consciousness that was going on in that moment with the ceremony. And everything.
It was all a blur. It was all a blur.
So.
It was very like you go from one thing to the next thing. That it flies by like that. The timing of the wedding.
Yeah.
I've been at other people's weddings and you sit there and it takes forever. And
you feel like, okay.
When it's yours, it's just, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to go there, you got to go there. And it's like, you don't have time to really soak it in.
Yeah, for sure. Which is part of why I'm really excited, like, to get the photos back to kind of go through and like.
There's going to be like thousands of photos.
Like leisurely remember the various details of the day. But it was beautiful, baby. And your emotions were very moving.
Stop it.
It's true.
Stop it.
It's true. Everybody. He made so many, like, not only did he cry, he made so many people cry there. Everybody started tearing up when Kyle got emotional. It's true. It's true.
Apparently, I don't know who it was that asked my mom, like, is he going to cry beforehand?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, yeah. Which is a little surprising to me.
Really? So it's funny because Corin had the opposite,
that's what
right?
I was going to say next is that somebody asked Corin, is he going to cry? And Corin was like, no. And so you had these two people who both obviously know me very well in different ways. And they had total different. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. I didn't know if I was going to.
I thought you were going to cry. Personally, I thought you were. And our eldest daughter, Ella, 15-year-old, she was like, if you don't cry when you're marrying my mom, you're in trouble. So
yeah, but then you know what? It's sort of messed up because after that, where I cried the whole goddamn time, she never came up to me and was like,
you passed the test.
You passed the test, OD. Like, you cried maybe a little too much. She didn't give me that. I was waiting for that moment of satisfaction. Like, all right, come on. Give me my flowers. Let's go.
Yeah. Anyway, it was beautiful. And it was, an amazing day. Honeymoon was beautiful and nice to be back with all of you lovely people here as well.
Indeed. All right. So tell me about this new absolute fluff job.
You're going to love this.
I think I'm going to the opposite of love it. That's what I think. Go ahead.
You could not make it more ridiculous if it was actually parody, this piece I'm about to tell you about. So Wired magazine.
Which, by the way, I didn't think of them as like an establishment rag.
Me neither. I've consumed their journalism in the past and found it perfectly adequate. So this was like really out of left field.
I thought they were like techie, you know what I mean?
That's their thing.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know where this came from, but it is really something. So they sent out this tweet. First of all, the photo of him, it's very like GQ and very like artistically done.
Did you say it was Pete Buttigieg yet? I don't think we did.
Oh, sorry. This is about Pete Buttigieg. Okay. So photo of Pete Buttigieg, very GQ, very artistically done. And they sent out this tweet that says, with a remarkable blend of intellect and empathy, Pete Buttigieg brings a fresh perspective to the forefront of public discourse. And if you didn't think that was bad enough, so the actual headline of the piece is Pete Buttigieg loves God, beer, and his electric Mustang. Sure, the U.S. Secretary of Transportation has thoughts on building bridges, but infrastructure occupies just a sliver of his voluminous mind. It goes on. Okay, I'm not cherry picking here. I'm going to read you the first 2 paragraphs of this piece because it sets the tone for the whole thing is like this. The curious mind of Pete Buttigieg holds much of its functionality in reserve, even as he discusses railroads and airlines down to the pointless data that is his current stock in trade. The U.S. Secretary of Transportation comes off like a Mensa black card holder who might have a secret go habit or a 3-second Rubik's Cube solution or a knack for supplying off the top of his head the day of the week for a random date in 1404, along with a non-condescending history of the Julian and Gregorian calendars. As Secretary Buttigieg and I talked in his underfurnished corner office one afternoon in early spring, I slowly became aware that his cabinet job requires only a modest portion of his cognitive powers. Other mental facilities, no kidding, are apportioned to the Iliad, Puritan historiography, and Nosgard's Spring, though not in the original Norwegian slacker. Fortunately, he was willing to devote yet another apse in his cathedral mind to making his ideas about 3 mighty themes, neoliberalism, masculinity, and Christianity, intelligible to me. It goes on like this. I kid you not. This is a dude who just on the basic, pure facts of the situation has been one of the worst secretaries of transportation in history, has been one of the worst cabinet secretaries, if not the worst cabinet secretary in Joe Biden's administration. This is a person who is incredibly powerful, and you're doing this weird celebrity, like intellectual masturbation, trying to show how smart you are, how smart they are, throwing out every long word in this hagiographic puff piece. I'm actually astonished by this one.
It shows how biased the media is. You know,
you think
but it's like, it's so extreme. It's so in your face. And then these are the people that have the nerve to pretend like, what do you mean? We're just like objective. We're just like doing our, no, there's nothing about this that's objective. They should look, just wear it on your sleeve. Number one, you're not a journalist, you're a commentator. That's fine, but say it, right? Number two, be upfront with who you support and why. You know, hey, I'm like standard establishment Democrats. I think centrism is the way to go. Like, if you come as advertised, then it's a different conversation. You say, hey, this is an opinion piece, and here's where my allegiance is, and that's totally fine. But they don't do that. And this is like, it's a puff piece masquerading as, you know, serious discussion. And it's gross, right? And, you know, somebody like me, I wear on my sleeve who I support, why I support them, etc. I'm upfront with my ideology. And if you do that, then all of a sudden everything's fine. But they refuse to do that part of it.
But it goes even worse, even beyond that, because like, as much as we appreciated Bernie Sanders and cheered for him and his, like, I would never write a piece like this about Bernie Sanders.
And you still asked him tough questions when you interviewed him.
When I interviewed him, yes, because I care about the issues. I care about what he would do with his power. This is someone running for president of the United States at the time. Now, and then the last time I interviewed, this is someone who's chair of the budget committee. You know, you ask this person tough, difficult questions about what they intend to do with the power that they have. It reminds me of what Irami always talks about, which is politics has become this like field of actualization for where we're just all supposed to be there in service of people like Pete Buttigieg realizing their personal self-actualization and their dreams. Like this is like celebrity treatment of someone who has really screwed up in a number of ways. I mean, where are the questions about failing to hold the airline industry to account and find them in the way that Bernie and others suggested? Where are the questions about how you screwed up the rulemaking for freight railroads, and that's part of why you ended up with this East Palestine catastrophe, of which you could barely be bothered to focus on for weeks until the media shamed you into it? Where are the questions about your role in terms of blocking railroad workers from getting just the basics of like paid leave and having some control and power in their workplaces? It really is shocking to me because it goes so far beyond even just having an ideological bias, which is one thing. It's the whole view of politics and how you should approach people in power that is deeply damaging, disturbing, and grotesque.
Follow celebrities or follow sports.
Yeah,
go do something.
Kim Kardashian.
Go do something where your opinion actually matters. Where, you know, you can have a take on who's the best shooting guard in the NBA, or you can have a take on which reality show is the best reality show. But that's all fluff and nonsense, and you're welcome to opine in areas like that. When it comes to politics, if you're not going to do serious discussion on the policy stuff, step aside. We don't need you. We don't need you to...
I don't care what Pete Buttigieg thinks about masculinity.
No, and by the way,
position
what are they trying to do there?
What are you going to do with it?
What are they trying to do there, Krystal? They're trying to, like, almost like hit all of the issues today that are sort of have blown up, like the Jordan Peterson type issues of like masculinity, and they link in religion and they link in philosophy. They're trying to, it's just through lying, they're trying to puff this man up and act like he's, you know, with the times, very current, has struck a nerve. But they have to fake it because he's not actually doing that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's so sad. And then...
I wonder if even he has to be embarrassed.
No, I don't think... See, that's interesting you say that. No, I think the only thing I remember him with a cave is the wine cave.
Sorry, cathedral-like mind. Or
you remember the wine cave? You remember the wine cave?
Of course, he was raising money. The wine cave.
That's the only cave thing that you need to talk about vis-a-vis Pete Buttigieg. But no, I think he reads something like this, and he's like, yeah, nailed it. That's just right. He clearly has a high opinion of himself. Anybody who, you know, gets down on their knees and worships him, he's gonna be open to.
Well, and here's the thing too: is they're like, oh, well, being Secretary of Transportation, this is only a small sliver of his cavernous mind.
Well, that's a fucking problem, even if that was true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do your fucking job.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Maybe you should be maybe you should be occupying more of your cathedral-like mind, because you certainly aren't doing an effective job at it. So that's a little bit of a problem. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And like you said, I didn't expect it from Wired. That was out of nowhere. And it's not just the journalist who her name is Virginia Heffernan, just so you guys know. But whoever tweeted this out with this gross, like, you know, remarkable blend of intellect and empathy, that's embarrassing. The whole thing it is literally the most embarrassing profile of a politician I have ever read.
They love corporate Democrats. They love media branding. Like you said, it's the actualization of identity politics. Yeah. It has nothing to do with serious stuff.
Right. And trying to pretend like they're so smart and he's so smart and I'm so smart because I understand how smart he is. It's like, if you really have to lean into it that hard, maybe you're not as intelligent as you're trying to persuade us all that you are.
Indeed. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.